this and more belong to Charles J. Givens, the man who turned $800 into a $50 million empire. If you want to know how you too can realize your dreams, the next exciting hour could change your life as Charles J. Givens reveals a millionaire's secrets to wealth.
Good evening, everybody. I'm glad you're here, and I think you will be too by the time we finish tonight. That is, if you came to talk about money, because of course that's our subject tonight. But you know my attitude about money if you've seen me on television or heard me on radio. We're going to spend the evening finding positive solutions. Solutions to situations that we face every day. And we're going to do that through what I call money strategies. Now, money strategies are the things that we should have learned in the school system, and none of us ever did. Money strategies give you the correct answers for every single situation that you face when it comes to money. Each of us faces 15 entirely different financial decisions every week, and yet nowhere in the school system were we ever trained to handle those properly. Well, my job tonight is to show you some of these money strategies, to show you what a little bit of knowledge and education can really do and the power that it can put in your hands. A money strategy is a formula. It's like a recipe. It gives you step-by-step instructions that show you how to do it, when to do it, and where to get it done when it comes to money. First of all, let's take a look at common mistakes that people make when it comes to managing money. These are the things to avoid. Mistake number one, no written plan. I have two parts to my written plan, and I want to share them with you because I suggest them for everyone in here as well. Part A is what I call my dreams list. It's a list of what I would do if I had the money that I would like to have. And I've had that for the last 25 years. Be specific. Does having more money to you, meaning building that house you've always dreamed of, does it mean the peace of mind that comes from knowing you have more money than you can spend? Or does it mean the freedom to travel the world, to go wherever you want to, whenever you want to? Whatever it is to you, write it down. Now, part B of your written plan should be your strategies list, the money strategies that you intend to use to get you from point A to point B. Now, the second mistake people tend to make is using old outdated ideas. So much of what we were taught about money never was true. So we've got to be careful that we don't apply things that never worked. Let me give you a good example. I'll bet you were taught, like I was, that all you have to do to be financially successful in America is get a good education when you're a teenager, high school or college, apply it to a job, and somehow magically through raises, promotions, retirement programs, company benefits, and finally good old Social Security, we were all going to end up rich. Haha, joke was on us, wasn't it? How many people in here are getting rich on a paycheck or retirement check? Nobody. Can't do it. In the 80s, your strategy is, it's not how much you make, it's what you do with what you make that counts. And that's why money strategies are so important to learn. They give you the correct answers. Now, the third mistake people tend to make is listening to the wrong people. Today, on every street corner in America are at least 3 people who either want to tell you how to get rich overnight, want to invest your money for you, or at least tell you where to invest your money. How do you know who to listen to? Who are the good guys and who are people that are just talking? Well, I've found that if you want to do anything successfully, listen to people that have done successfully what you want to do. If you want to know how to reduce your taxes, talk to somebody in the zero tax bracket. If you want to know how to make money investing, then talk to somebody that built their wealth through investing. Are bankers and brokers always the right people to talk to? No, they're not. You know, somebody said recently they call them brokers because they're usually broker than you are. Sometimes that's true. Not all of them, but be careful who you listen to. We've all got to get the education from somewhere, and you've got to be able to tell the gold from the counterfeiters. That's what not to do. Let's take a look at the positive side. You know, of all the wealth-building strategies that I've ever seen, you can fit them all into 3 categories, and that makes the job of building wealth a whole lot simpler. Now, let me show you what the 3 wealth-building categories are, and that's what we're going to talk about as we go through the evening. It does take money to make money, but 2 of the 3 categories of wealth building don't require your money. Here they are. Make sure you understand them clearly. Strategy number 1, learn to use the government's money. That means use every legal tax strategy possible for reducing your income taxes. Now, I'm not talking about tax protesting. I'm not talking about cheating or loopholes. Those are out. I happen to be one of the most patriotic people you'll probably ever meet. I love this country. It has certainly been good to me. So I'm not out to destroy the tax system, but what I would like to see is tax equality. Why should only wealthy people and multimillionaires find out all the secrets for legally reducing taxes? The reason is they can afford high-priced tax help that most people don't even know exists. Yet I found that at home, in your spare time, with just a couple of hours a month, you can learn to save yourself thousands of dollars every year legally in taxes. There are over 50 legal tax strategies that we teach through my foundation, some of which I'm going to teach you tonight that will have an immediate impact on what you're doing tax-wise. Working or retired, job one for 1985 is get your tax life under control. Do you know that the biggest single investment that any American will ever make in a lifetime is income taxes, not a home? And yet, so few people ever take the time to learn how to control the money they give to the government. Tax strategies. Job one. Now, the second way to build wealth in America is to learn to use your own money more effectively. You know, probably the biggest errors in family finance occur because people don't understand the rules and techniques for investing. Saving your money at 9, 10, or 11% is not at all investing. That's storing money. You're not really making any money. Yet inside knowledgeable investors know how to earn 20% a year safely without taxes and without commissions. Now, isn't that outrageous for somebody to stand up here and tell you you can do that? It is if all you've ever learned how to do is make 9, 10, or 11%. But I'm going to teach you tonight, and you'll know how before you leave here, how to do it safely, whether you're starting out with $100,000 or you don't know where you're going to get $10 to invest. Now, the third way to build wealth in America is to use a technique that we call OPM. What's OPM? Other people's money. Of course, if you don't have enough of your own, you got to get it somewhere. But what we were never taught is that there are simple, safe, effective ways to use other people's money, even if you're a beginner starting out without much cash or credit. Now, if you have capital, the best use of OPM for you is to use other people's money to build tax shelters so that you get to keep more of what you've already got. Now, when you use other people's money, it's called leverage. So our discussion is going to be about the 3 wealth-building steps. Use the government's money, reduce your taxes. Learn to use your own money properly, put together a powerful investment program. And step 3, learn to use other people's money. That's called leverage. Let's take those one at a time, and let me show you how simple it is to use tax strategies. Of course, tax laws are complicated. However, tax strategies are not. I happen to be a person that loves to travel. I never get tired of traveling. I don't know about you, but I've had the opportunity now to travel to 112 foreign countries in all 50 states. I think the world is beautiful, and it's a great experience. But all of my trips for the last 15 years have been legally tax deductible. And if I can do it, you can do it, because there's nothing special about me under the tax law. How many people in here really like to travel? Raise your hand if you like to travel. Oh boy, you're going to love these strategies, because I'm going to show you now how to make every vacation from now on legally tax deductible. Here's 3 strategies. Strategy A, education. Do you know that if you combine your vacation with certain forms of education, you just earned yourself legal tax deductions? What kind of education? Well, if you're a taxpayer, anybody in here still paying income taxes? Okay, right group. If you're a taxpayer, while you're in Honolulu next summer lounging on the beach, attend a 1 or 2 day tax workshop. You just made your trip tax deductible, even if the workshop teaches you how to reduce your taxes. Says so right in the tax code. If you're an investor, and you certainly will be after our discussion, if you're not now, you need investment education. Why not take it in Las Vegas, Atlantic City, Miami, Seattle, Washington, or wherever you would enjoy going? There are seminars in every resort area in the country, every major city. Investment education creates a tax-deductible trip. Combine education with vacation. Strategy B, if you're an employee, if you work for somebody else, you may have been taught, like I was, that employees don't get any tax deductions. Not so, but you must learn them. Your employer will never tell them to you. The way that you travel on tax-deductible dollars is called the job interview strategy. Now, no matter what type of job you have, while you're traveling, go on a job interview or two. If that interview, the tax code says, is for the same type of job you have now, you may take a tax deduction on Form 2106 for up to the entire amount of money you spend. Well, somebody asked me not long ago, they said, Chuck, what happens if they offer me the job? Well, remember we said we're not going to be tax cheaters, so be prepared for career advancement while you're out there on job interviews. Have fun, create opportunities for yourself as well. Now, strategy C is called business travel. You might say, Chuck, doesn't apply to me, I don't have a business. Why not? Do you know one of the best tax defenses in America is to start your own small business? Now, IRS says you must run it with the intent to make a profit, but you can do it at home part-time. Who benefits? People that are retired and people that work full-time can benefit from a small business tax-wise. Do you know that suddenly you become eligible for 27 legal tax deductions that you and I as individuals don't get? That's the power of being part of the American economy, starting your own small business. But make it something that's fun, something that you're interested in. One of those 27 legal deductions, of course, is travel. Instead of just vacationing, you can travel to trade shows, business conferences, educational programs about business. Combine vacation, business travel, you just made your trip deductible. Well, what are all these new tax proposals going to do to these strategies? Do you know they're not even going to touch them? What's happening is most people will lose deductions that everybody can take, but tax strategies normally used by the wealthy, Congress doesn't touch. Why do you think that is? They use them, and they're not going to cut off their nose to spite their face. That's the way you travel on deductible dollars. Now, what I've shown you is how you can start making what you already spend money on tax deductible. When you get home or at home, write down where the money goes. Make a list. What do you spend money on? How much goes towards your home? How much goes toward your car, your videotape recorder? Educational accounts that you set up for your children or grandchildren. How much goes to health clubs, spas, country clubs, even vacations? Do you know every one of those things can be made tax deductible just like vacations with simple, straightforward strategies? Let's look at another way we can make what we already do deductible. If you're a parent or a grandparent, I'm sure that you've either started or thought about setting up a college investment account for your children or grandchildren, putting money away so that you'll be able to send them to college or at least give them the money. How would you like to make every dollar you give to your children or grandchildren tax deductible in the year that you give it? Wouldn't that be fantastic? You can do it. Here's the strategy. We call it give a gift and borrow it back. You give a gift to a child or grandchild. Take the money and put it in an investment account, but don't leave it there. Turn right around and borrow the money back. All of it. Now, it was your money when you gave it. It's the kid's money when you borrow it back. And on borrowed money, we always pay what? Interest. Since all interest is tax deductible, even if you pay it to relatives, every 12 months, put 15% interest based on the money you gave the kids and borrowed back into their investment or college account, and that year take a deduction for every dollar you give them. Strategy, give a gift, borrow it back, pay interest, deduct the interest. That's one of what we call 10 family tax strategies that we teach at my foundation. It's incredible what you can do right within your family in creating deductions legally without ever having to lose or give away the money. Now, another thing that we tend to spend a lot of money on, of course, are automobiles, videotape recorders. Some people even like home computers. Do you know that there's a simple way to make those tax deductible? It's called asset expensing. It's a new tax law passed in 1982 that will give you up to a $5,000 tax deduction every single year. It's something you create by what you do. How does it work? Well, asset expensing rules say if you start a small business, or if you have one, that's fine, you simply find a business use part-time for all of the things that you buy from now on. Your automobile is used for business when you're out handing out business cards or brochures for your small business. Your videotape recorder is used for business when you rent or buy video educational programs. The tax code says use any asset in a small business at least 50% of the time for business. You may add up the cost and take a tax deduction of up to $5,000 every year. You take the tax deduction on Form 4562. Asset expensing, how to earn a $5,000 deduction every year. Now let's put these three strategies together and let me show you a strategy called stacking. Have you ever heard the expression that the biggest tree can be cut down with the smallest axe if you just chip away at it long enough? And that should be your strategy with your taxes. Legally finding legal strategies to chip away at the tax bill. Learn and apply them one at a time. We just talked about three. There are over 50 of them that you can begin using. But what if we were to use all three? Let's see how they might help us. Let's say we make our trip to Honolulu deductible next year, and we spent $2,000. There's a $2,000 tax deduction we've earned. Let's say that you give $1,500 in interest to 2 children or grandchildren during the year. There's $3,000 in deductions. And let's say that you buy an automobile, videotape recorder, use it part-time in that small business you're going to start, and you earn yourself up to $5,000 in tax deductions. Add them up, and we just created up to $10,000 in tax deductions for this year, next year, and beyond with simple strategies. That's the way it's done. Anybody learn this stuff in school? You know, you don't learn it in kindergarten through Harvard Business School. And yet these are the simple, basic steps that every family should be taking in terms of reducing their income taxes. Well, job one, we said, for 1985 and beyond is get control of your tax life, learn and apply simple tax strategies like we're talking about. Doesn't take but a couple hours a month. You do it at home in your spare time, and it does not require high-priced tax planning. Step number 2, we've got to learn to use our own money correctly. Well, most people fall into 2 basic categories, the haves and the have-nots. The haves, of course, are usually people who have worked 20, 25 years to build up pension funds, to save money, to have capital to invest. If that's you, then you want to know how to manage it effectively, and I'm going to show you. The have-nots, on the other hand, are not those in poverty. They're the people that have not the foggiest idea where they're going to get the money to invest. Let me give you 2 basic starting strategies if you're one that needs to know, where do I get the money to invest? Strategy 1, learn to reduce your income taxes. If you can save $1,000 to $3,000 a year simply in your income taxes, you can take that money and put it into a powerful investment program like I'm going to show you how to build. Strategy 2, I call it the 10% solution, and it's one I used in my 20s that turned my whole life around. Have you ever had the feeling that there's no level of income that you can't outspend? I have, and it's true. Well, if that's the case, we've got to reverse our discipline and priorities. Here's how the 10% solution works. Take the first 10% of every dollar that you earn in a paycheck or retirement check and pay yourself first. Pay yourself first. Put that money into a powerful investment plan. Now, maybe you're saying, Chuck, what do you mean take 10% of my money? I'm already spending 120% of what I make. Well, if you are, you'll never even miss the other 10%. So go ahead and get started. There is no tomorrow. There is no yesterday. All of us live a lifetime full of todays, and the only time to start is when? Today, right now. Do it now. That's what makes the biggest difference between financial winners and financial losers. Well, that's the way to get started. Now let's talk about some of the common mistakes people make when it comes to investing. If we've never learned much about money, we become very conservative, worried about losing our money, and we put money in banks. Now, banks are pretty. They have beautiful parking lots. They'll send you a calendar at Christmas, whether you want it or not. The only problem is they don't pay you any money. Well, you might say, Chuck, that can't be true. I can get 10% in a CD at a bank. Let me tell you what really happens to the CD money, that interest you're earning, something the bank will not tell you. If you're in the 40% tax bracket and earn 10% interest, the first 4% of the 10% goes where? Taxes. Now you're left with only 6%. If we have 6% inflation this year, which looks highly likely, that means the principal, the money you originally put in the bank, drops by 6% in value. You're left with how much? Nothing. Have you ever in your life seen a full-page bank advertisement that says, put your money in our bank, earn nothing? And yet that's the truth of the matter. First 10% in any investment goes somewhere else. That's why we've got to learn to earn more. We were just never taught that. Can you make money in a bank? Sure. Buy the bank. That's where the money is. Now, if that's not on your goal list this year, we've got to find a better place for your money, and we will as we go through our session. Now, step number 2, or mistake number 2 that people make when they call themselves investors is, without the knowledge, without the strategies, we tend to run down to a brokerage firm and try to pick out individual stocks and bonds. Even the New York Stock Exchange says that 9 out of 10 people who try to pick out individual stocks and bonds lose money. The only thing that I know that's any riskier is ask the broker to pick them out for you. Then you're really in trouble. Can you make money in stocks and bonds? You bet you can, and you can do it safely. I'm going to teach you a strategy in a few minutes called money movement. That strategy will allow you safely to earn consistently 20 to 30% a year in stocks and bonds, 8 times safer than going down to a brokerage firm and buying individual stocks and bonds. And then I'm going to teach you how to go a step further to earn that 20 to 30% with no taxes and no commissions. Then we can call ourselves investors. Step number 1 in an investment program, learn to use more effectively what you already have. Open an 11% checking account. Now, you can't open an 11% checking account at a bank. The problem is the bank earns more on your money than they're willing to pay you. If you go down to a bank and open a checking account, tell them you want to write unlimited checks, they'll pay you between 0 and 5%. Yet if you go to that same bank for an automobile loan, they'll charge you 16% for the same money. You're getting about 1/3. There are 20 checking accounts in America called asset management accounts. Asset management accounts that will guarantee in writing to pay you 99.6% of every dollar they earn by reinvesting your money. That's why you can make more. Now, where do you find asset management accounts? Well, if you've got $10,000 to $20,000 to put in one as an initial deposit, you can work with Merrill Lynch, E.F. Hutton, Payne Weber, Waddell & Reed, Shearson American Express. But that doesn't fit everybody. We found several asset management accounts that anybody can use to get started with, and everyone should have one. For instance, the Consolidated Asset Management Account in Valley Forge, Pennsylvania, CAM Fund it's called, CAM Fund. You can open an account for as little as $1, add $1 anytime you want to. So there are no minimums. Are asset management accounts insured? Almost all of them are. For instance, in the CAM Fund, put in $1,000 or more, you have FDIC insurance. If you keep $1,000 or less in there, you don't need the insurance anyway. You haven't got any money. So you can get insurance, and that's not why you're being paid more interest. Now, how do you earn the 11%? Right now, 8 to 9% you earn through the guaranteed variable interest that's paid by the asset management accounts. The other 2 to 3% you earn through a process that happens automatically called legal float. Now, from now on, after you open your asset management account, write all your checks out of your AMA account, not your bank account. Do you know the asset management accounts take 5 to 10 days extra to process those checks before the money gets deducted from your account? That means that you're earning interest for 5 to 10 days on money you've already spent. Doesn't that sound like a fantastic idea? You bet it does. And that will add another 2 or 3% to your real return. Now, step number 2 in investing, we've got to have strategies that always allow us safely to have our money at the right place at the right time. I'm going to teach you the finest strategy you'll ever find, the safest strategy for investing in stocks and bonds. I call it the money movement strategy, and it's based on 2 of the most important investment rules that I could ever teach you. I learned them through trial and error, and I don't recommend trial and error as a way to learn about money. Investment rule number 1, there's no investment that's always good. If you've set up your investment program by trying to find a good long-term place to stick your money at 10, 11, 12%, whether it's bank accounts, CDs, stocks, stock funds, bonds, money markets, Ginnie Maes, you're always going to lose. Taxes and inflation will always beat you. No investment is always good. We've been taught wrong. Investment rule number 2, every economy has one best investment. Every economy has one best investment. 1 out of 3 years, the best investment in America, the greatest wealth builder, will be stocks. You'll earn 30 to 80% no matter what stocks or stock mutual funds you have money in, like 1985. 2 out of 3 years, however, stocks will be declining in value. 1 out of 3 years, bonds, tax-exempt bonds, or Ginnie Maes are the best investments in America. 2 out of 3 years, you'll lose money. They'll actually depreciate. However, during that one good year, you'll make 30 to 50% between the interest rate and appreciation. Now, the 3rd out of 3 years, neither stocks or bonds will be any good. You'll lose money in either one. They'll both be declining at the same time, and that's the year that interest rates are going up in America. So in order to succeed in investing, if we want to use stocks and bonds, we've got to use 3 different instruments: stocks, bonds, and then we have to have a safe place to put our money when both stocks and bonds are dropping. My recommendation, money market account or money market mutual fund. Your principal is not at risk. Now, what tells us where and when our money should be invested? Well, one interest rate in America is the key to building wealth through investing your own money. And it's called the prime rate. Of course, it's in the newspapers and on television consistently. The prime rate, more than any other economic factor, will tell you where you'll make the money. I've prepared a chart for you that will show you how your investments and the prime rate should work together for success. Use this money movement strategy. You'll be successful investing, because that's the way investing should work. You must use more than one investment. Now, I've shown you on this chart the prime rate going up on the left-hand side, coming down on the right-hand side. And you'll notice the color changes on the chart. The green represents the only time when it's safe to invest in stocks. The 1 out of 3 years approximately when all stocks will be going up. That's why it's safe. The brown represents the time when you should be invested in bonds, tax-exempt bonds, or Ginnie Maes, which are actually just mortgage bonds, and that's when interest rates are high and coming down. The blue represents the one time when you'll lose money in either stocks or bonds. That's when we need an instrument called a money market account or money market fund. Remember this rhyme: when interest rates are low, stocks will grow. When interest rates are high, stocks will die. You know, that's been true for 50 years, and not 1 in 10 people in this room or anywhere else ever use that in their investment planning. You see, we've been taught to find good stocks, invest in them long term, and if you've ever tried that, you know that you've never made much money at all. Stocks are only good when the prime rate is 10.5% or less, like it is now. Since January, the prime rate has been fluctuating between 10.25% and 10.5%. If we look at our money movement chart, we'll see that now we're in the stock range. So if you were to say to me, Chuck Givens, what's the best investment right now, what would it be? Stocks or stock mutual funds. Exactly. It's not too late, and as long as the prime rate stays below 10.5%, that's where you want your money invested. Now let's look at our chart and see if we already know where to move our money. Let's say towards the end of the year, interest rates go from the current 10 to 10.5% up above 10.5%. Where does the chart, money movement chart, tell us we should move our money? Money market. You see how easy it is to invest? You don't have to predict anything. You simply follow the prime rate. Anytime interest rates in America are over 10.5% and on the way up, both stocks and bonds will be losing money. That's why you put your money in the money market, where your principal is not at risk. Now, let's say we watch the interest rates go up for a few months, and they finally go up 11, 12, maybe up to 12.5. Then they start slowly turning and start down. Where does our chart tell us now we should move our money? Bonds. Bonds are the best investment in America anytime interest rates are high and coming down. Why? Because there's a mathematical relationship between the prime rate and the value of bonds. A bond is nothing more than a loan to a city or a corporation. That's all it is. It's not difficult to understand, and it pays you a guaranteed interest rate, 10 to 13%. But the value of your bond can change as the prime rate changes. Here's the relationship. Every time the prime rate drops 1% in America, the value of all bonds, tax-exempt bonds in Ginnie Mae's, goes up about 5%. Prime rate drops 2%, you made an additional 10% on your money. 3%, you made 15%. That's why it does not pay to own bonds long term. Only when interest rates are high and coming down, and I'll bet they never told you that at the brokerage firm. Those are the kinds of things you must know to invest. Now, conversely, when interest rates go up 1%, the value of your bonds will drop 5%. So if you own bonds, tax-exempt bonds, or Ginnie Mae's now, keep your eye on the prime rate, because if it should turn towards the end of the year, next few months, and start up, then your bonds will start losing money. You'll definitely want to move out of them into something like the money market. Let's review. Interest rates are low, stocks. Interest rates are high and coming down, bonds. Interest rates over 10.5% and going up, money market. Now, some people say, Chuck, gee, I don't know. That sounds like I really have to work hard to manage my money. The prime rate moves so slowly that all you have to do is move your money about once per year at the most in order to insure yourself 20 to 30%. Those of you that take my Delta Star newsletter and enrolled in my Money Strategies program, you remember in your January newsletter it said you better be in stocks because the prime rate just dropped from 10.75 to 10.5. If you followed those instructions, you have made a minimum of 30 to 35% since January using the money movement strategy. That's the power of this kind of knowledge. But most people that know it aren't willing to share it, and you certainly don't learn it at banks and brokerage firms. That's the secret to investing in stocks and bonds. I've used it for 12 years now. I've taught it to 55,000 families in workshops and in home study programs, and you know I have yet to have one person in America write or call me and say, Chuck, it doesn't work or I lost money. It works. It's the way I manage my money, and that's why I'm teaching it to you. Now, with the money movement strategy, we need to find a good financial institution, one we can depend on, that is specifically set up to use the money movement strategy. How would you like to be able to invest your money in stocks, bonds, and money markets with no commissions? How would you like to be able to move your money as simply as picking up the telephone and saying, hey, this is me, I'm in stocks, move me to money markets? You can do that. There are 12 financial institutions that will allow you to invest with no commissions, move your money by phone, and since you're investing in a portfolio or a group of stocks and bonds, you don't even have to know anything about individual stocks and bonds. So you don't have to be a genius. Those 12 financial institutions all have the same name. They're called no-load mutual fund families. Who should have an account at one of these institutions? Everybody in this room. Because if you're just starting out with a 10% solution, that's where you should put your 10% of your paycheck or retirement check. If you have significant investment capital, do like I do. Keep 30 to 40% of your investment capital in a no-load mutual fund family. Manage it using money movement. Now let's look at some of the terms. Remember, financial terms are new but not complicated. No load simply means no commissions when you put your money in or when you move it. A mutual fund family is called a family because it offers you a family of investments. Every one of the 12 no-load mutual fund families offers you the same 3 different types of investments: stock funds, bond funds, money market funds. Now, from the money movement strategy, what are the 3 different investments that we have to make it work? Stocks, bonds, money markets. There they are, all under one roof, so when you move your money, it's easy. You don't have to move it to a different financial institution, and that means minimum of time and effort in managing your money correctly. Now, it's also important to know how to pick the right financial institution for you. That's something else we were never taught about money, but it will have a big deal to do with your success. So let me describe some of the no-load mutual fund families to you and how you might pick the one for you. If you're just starting out, you have $0 to $200 in investment capital, you would start with 20th Century in Kansas City. They're the one fund that will let you open an account for any amount of money. Now, if you're a knowledgeable investor, you understand all the terms we've been talking about, you want to be more aggressive, you'll pick Fidelity in Boston. Fidelity in Boston is the most aggressive. Vanguard in Valley Forge, Pennsylvania, on the other hand, is the most conservative. So if money still worries you a little bit, you know you've got to do better, but it's still something that creates a little bit of fear. You don't want to lose your money. Then maybe you'll fit in with Vanguard, the most conservative. Let's look at the track record. If you had used the money movement strategy in Vanguard for the last 5 years, conservatively, you would have averaged 22% a year on your investments with no commissions for the last 5 years. Now compare that to what you've been earning and how you've been risking your money. And you would have done it 8 times safer mathematically than going down to a brokerage firm picking out individual stocks and bonds. Did you know that 22% a year will double your money every 3 years and 4 months? That's the way you make money. Shorten the time it takes to double your money, but don't increase your risk, and you build wealth 3 times faster than a person who puts money in a 7% savings account. Do you know how long it takes to double your money in a 7% savings account? 10 years and 2 months. These are certainly not get-rich-quick schemes. They require a little effort. They require some time, but they don't require as much time as going out and working a full-time job. How much time is required? If you'll give me 2 hours a week of your busy time, 1 hour to teach you and 1 hour for you to go out and apply the strategies, that's all it takes to make those hours worth $100 to $300 or more a piece. Work smarter and not harder. What's the tuition for this program? I think that's the most exciting part about your association with my foundation. The total tuition is not $1,000, $2,000, or $3,000 like some people pay financial planners. The total tuition is just $295, not only to learn the strategies, but to get personal help, no matter where you live. Now, $295 is like investing $29.50 a year for the next 10 years, and these are strategies that will last you a lifetime. What do you get for your $295? A lot. Included in your Money Strategies program is a complete set of audio tapes. All of the education is on 6 audio cassettes. The cassettes contain 8 hours of training personally done by me. So I'll be your guide through the entire program. The 6 audio cassettes come in a beautiful kit that looks just like this, and you'll be proud to keep it near your tape recorder or on your bookshelf. Now, all the education is on the tapes, but also included is a complete 250-page study guide. This 250-page study guide contains 3 separate study guides. One is for the tax section and contains tax publication references and all the tax forms that you'll need, complete with examples filled out. We're going to help you every step of the way. In the investment study guide, you'll find all of the comparisons of the different financial institutions. We've given you a list and toll-free telephone numbers of all the asset management accounts, all the no-load mutual fund families, and of course the self-directed annuities. Everything you need for your success is in this kit. In the OPM study guide number 3, you'll get not only the instructions, but you'll also receive some of the contracts that you'll need, as well as the lease that I told you about. Everything you need for your success is in this educational program.
Make your dreams come true by learning and using the secrets of financial success from Charles J. Gibbons, the man who turned $800 into a $50 million fortune. Through this exclusive TV presentation, the Charles J. Gibbons Foundation, a nonprofit educational organization, now offers you the practical, success-proven tools you need to become financially independent. All the money strategies you've been looking for are included in 8 hours of personal instruction by Charles J. Gibbons on 6 cassette tapes. Plus, you get 3 important study guides containing vital, easy-to-follow, step-by-step instructions on how to legally save on income taxes, powerful investment and money management strategies, and the best ways to buy and own real estate. But that's not all. You also receive a free 6-month subscription to the famous Delta Star newsletter to keep you up to date on new tax strategies and investment opportunities. And as an extra bonus, you get a free admission ticket to an applications workshop conducted in major cities throughout the United States. The Charles J. Gibbons Home Study Course is the most complete, most comprehensive wealth-building material ever assembled. What would you pay to learn a millionaire's secrets to success? $500, $1,000, $3,000. Charles J. Givens shares his personal proven money strategies for only $295 during the special TV offer, and it comes complete with a 100% money-back guarantee. Keep it for 10 days. If you're not completely satisfied, return it for a full refund. Order now. Call this toll-free number, 1-800-272-2300. That's 1-800-272-2300. Use your MasterCard, Visa, or American Express, or we'll ship COD. Call now, toll-free, 1-800-272-2300, or send check or money order to Charles J. Givens, P.O. Box 9399, Phoenix, Arizona, 85068. Here's what you get. The dynamic Charles J. Givens home study course. 8 hours of expert information on 6 cassette tapes. 75 powerful strategies explained in detail. 2 handsomely bound manuals containing 3 separate incredibly valuable sections on taxes, investments, and real estate. Plus, you receive a free 6-month subscription to the Delta Star newsletter, one of the finest publications in America. And as a special bonus, you'll get this free ticket to a full-day applications workshop at a major city of your choice. Charles J. Givens shares the techniques he used to build a financial empire. Turn money hassles into financial freedom. Learn how you can work smarter, not harder. This dynamic material is yours for just $295, and it comes complete with a money-back guarantee. Order now. Dial toll-free 1-800-272-2300. That's 1-800-272-2300. Use your MasterCard, Visa, or American Express, or we'll ship COD. Call now, toll-free 1-800-272-2300, or send check or money order to Charles J. Givens, P.O. Box 9399, Phoenix, Arizona, 85068.
It does not take risk to build and protect wealth in America. It simply takes the kind of knowledge that we never got in the school system, the kind we're talking about tonight. Well, let me go one step further. Let me now show you, if you've got $5,000 or more of investment capital, how to create an instant tax shelter for any amount of money with an insured financial institution, earn 18 to 25% without taxes on any amount of money. Can we do that tonight? You bet we can. What's the investment called? Well, there are only 10 of them in America, and they're called self-directed annuities. Now, an annuity is simply a contract with a financial institution that Congress says you don't have to pay taxes on the earnings from as long as you keep that money invested. There are 10 self-directed annuities, and here are the advantages. Number 1, there's no maximum. You can put any amount of money you have or want to in them. Number 2, you get tax-free compounding. You don't pay taxes at the end of the year, so all that money keeps working for you. Number 3, they're self-directed, meaning you get a choice of investments, even though it's a tax shelter. Every self-directed annuity offers you 3 different types of investments. Guess what they just happen to be? Stock funds, bond funds, money market funds. Boy, now we've got it. Now you can use the money movement strategy in one of the safest, best tax shelters in America, earn 18 to 25% with no taxes on any amount of money. And if you're working on your estate, it's one of the best estate planners because by law, money in an annuity, if anything happens to you, does not go through probate. Let me teach you one of my favorite strategies, a powerful strategy that will allow you to buy a piece of real estate, whether you want to live in it or rent it out, at less than 10% interest. Right now, I'm going to teach you how to make a 20% cash down payment, even if you don't have the cash or credit yourself. Then I'm going to show you how to reduce the payments on a property by 50%. Over what it would cost you if you went out and got a new 12 to 13% mortgage. Now, if you can do all those things in one strategy, then you've got a powerful tool, should you choose to use it, to build wealth or tax shelter. The triple punch strategy was the first strategy that I ever developed 15 years ago when I lived in Washington, D.C. That year, we bought 46 properties. I wasn't even spending my time. I was working full-time for somebody else, and I had $1.6 million in assets. In 3 years, I had $10 million in assets, and it just kept going up from there, from starting with simple, basic strategies like we're talking about here. Let me show you the triple punch. It's an exciting concept in using money. We're going to use as an example a $50,000 property. That's the sale price. Step number 1. locate existing properties that have on them existing FHA and VA mortgages. Now, there are 2 federal laws that apply to those 2 kinds of mortgages that will help make you wealthy. They never taught them to us in school. Here they are. Federal law number 1. The mortgage company must let you assume or take over the payments on that mortgage without a credit check, without qualifying, and without an application to fill out. Your signature only is all that's required. Now, if we find a $50,000 property with a $30,000 mortgage, that means we can get $30,000 worth of the financing with our signature only, and you cannot be turned down. Closing costs are only a maximum of $45. And federal law number 2 says that the mortgage company, when you take over the payments, they cannot raise the interest rate or the monthly payment, not even $1. That's federal law. That means if our mortgage already has on it a 9% interest rate with a monthly payment of $270 with our signature, we've got the same deal. Now we've financed 60% of the property, or $30,000. Where do we go from there? Let's look at step 2. Where do you get the down payment? Sellers do like down payments, contrary to what you may have heard. But you don't have to use your own money for down payments. You can actually use OPM. Go to one of the commercial second mortgage companies. In every town in America, there are anywhere between 5 and 50 commercial second mortgage companies. They're in the business of loaning money to people who want to buy properties, even if you don't intend to live in the property. They'll loan you money even if there's a mortgage already on the property. Step number 3, we still owe the sellers the last $10,000. How are we going to pay them that? Let me teach you a strategy now called the single payment mortgage. You go to the sellers and you say, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I'm giving you a $10,000 cash down payment. That's step 2. If you'll be willing to leave the last $10,000 invested in the property, in one payment in 7 years, no payments in between, I'll pay you not only the $10,000 principal, but I'll give you $5,000 in interest. Good for the seller? You bet it is. They don't have to wait for you to qualify. They don't have to pay any mortgage points for you to get a new mortgage. And now they've got $10,000 cash and a good force savings plan for $15,000. How does it help you? You have just financed that property at 9.8% interest with a total monthly payment of $400 to $420. How would you like to, in 6 to 7 years, give yourself $100,000 a year more tax-free income than you have now? It's really very easy. It's the way that I did it. Buy 2 $50,000 properties every year for the next 6 years using the triple punch strategy. That's 1 every 6 months. At the end of 6 years, with the appreciation that you'll get from the seller's market that we'll soon be going back into, you'll control in 6 to 7 years $1 million worth of assets you don't control now. Tell me how you can do that from a paycheck or a retirement check. It's pretty difficult. Every time that $1 million worth of assets, those pieces of real estate, go up 10%, you just made another $100,000 to add to your net worth. Well, some people say, Chuck, I don't know. Real estate is such a hassle. Can real estate be a hassle? You bet it can, especially if you don't know the rules for how to buy and manage it before you go out there. But then some people say, Chuck, taxes are a hassle. You're telling me I've got to learn more about taxes in order to build wealth? Yes, I am. But the payoff is tremendous. And some people say, but investing is a hassle. I'd just as soon let somebody else do it. If you love your money, then don't give it to somebody else to manage. Let me tell you what I think a real hassle is in this great country of ours. See if you agree with me. A hassle is getting up at 6 o'clock in the morning, 5 days a week, stumbling into the bathroom to see if you can find your eyes in the mirror, crawling into the car while dumping a cup of coffee down your shirt or blouse, getting out there on a crowded highway to drive at 15 miles an hour, clear across town to a job you probably never liked in the first place. It's going to end up making money for somebody else, coming home exhausted every evening and being broke the day after Christmas. That's what a hassle is. So don't tell me that the things we're talking about are a hassle. This is the easy way, whether you want to increase your retirement income or whether you've got dreams like I've always had. I want to share another strategy with you that's even closer to home. How would you like to be able to save $50,000 to $80,000 in monthly payments on any home mortgage? Maybe even one you already have. Who wouldn't? It only takes about an hour's worth of extra work. That's about $50,000 to $80,000 an hour. I think we'd all like to have jobs like that. When you go out and get a mortgage these days, have you ever noticed that the mortgage company tells you how long the mortgage is supposed to be for? And if you don't ask, what do they give you? 30-year mortgage. Have you ever wondered why? It's because that's where the mortgage company makes the most money. Let me give you an example. Borrow $50,000 tomorrow at 12% interest to buy a home to live in for 30 years. Your monthly payments will be $500 a month. Now, after 5 years, you will have paid into the mortgage company $30,000. Do you know you will have paid off only $1,000 of your mortgage? $29,000 was interest. After 10 years, you paid in $60,000 to the mortgage company, and yet you've still paid off only $5,000 of your mortgage. Isn't that incredible? Is there a better way? That's why we're talking. Here's the better way, the money strategy way. Next time you get a mortgage, turn down the 30-year mortgage, ask them for a 15-year mortgage instead. Now, most people never think of doing that because what does our minds tell us would happen to those payments if we cut the term in half? They double or go way up. Doubling means they go up 100%. Do you know that those payments will only go up 15%? If you were willing to pay $570 a month for just 15 years on the exact same mortgage instead of $500 a month for a full 30 years, not only would you have your home paid off in half the time, have all that equity to work with, you would have saved yourself $80,000 in monthly payments on that mortgage. When I found out how much money mortgage companies really make, I bought one. In Ripley's Believe It or Not, many years ago, I read something by Robert Ripley that said, if you take a 5-pound bar of iron as it comes out of the smelter, at that point it will be worth $6. But if you transform that 5-pound bar of iron into fishing weights, it will be worth $25. Manufacture fishing hooks, they'll be worth $250. As knife blades, that 5-pound bar of iron will become worth $2,500. But should you choose instead to make from your iron watch springs, they will be worth $250,000. Starting from the same thing, you can create whatever you want to. I've learned through my experience that everything you and I need for our own success, our own happiness, for our own wealth, we already have, and it's contained in the 6 inches right between our ears. What we do with it is up to us. I'd like to help you transform that 6 inches into watch springs instead of just fishing weights, to teach you to work smarter and not harder with your money. And I hope you'll give me the opportunity to do that by joining our program. But I want to challenge you to go one step further than the people who have what they want and do what they want because they can afford it. I want to challenge you to get into a very elite group in America that I call the 1%ers. The only one out of every 100 Americans who ever gets to the point in their personal life where they have truly learned to appreciate and enjoy every moment of just being alive. Because if you can do that, then you've got it all. Thank you.
Make your dreams come true by learning and using the secrets of financial success from Charles J. Gibbons, the man who turned $800 into a $50 million fortune. Through this exclusive TV presentation, the Charles J. Gibbons Foundation, a nonprofit educational organization, now offers you the practical, success-proven tools you need to become financially independent. All the money strategies you've been looking for are included in 8 hours of personal instruction by Charles J. Gibbons on 6 cassette tapes. Plus, you get 3 important study guides containing vital, easy-to-follow, step-by-step instructions on how to legally save on income taxes, powerful investment and money management strategies, and the best ways to buy and own real estate. But that's not all. You also receive a free 6-month subscription to the famous Delta Star newsletter to keep you up to date on new tax strategies and investment opportunities. And as an extra bonus, you get a free admission ticket to an applications workshop conducted in major cities throughout the United States. The Charles J. Gibbons Home Study course is the most complete, most comprehensive wealth-building material ever assembled. What would you pay to learn a millionaire's secrets to success? $500, $1,000, $3,000. Charles J. Gibbons shares his personal, proven money strategies for only $295 during the special TV offer, and it comes complete with a 100% money-back guarantee. Keep it for 10 days. If you're not completely satisfied, return it for a full refund. Order now. Call this toll-free number, 1-800-272-2300. That's 1-800-272-2300. Use your MasterCard, Visa, or American Express, or we'll ship COD. Call now, toll-free, 1-800-272-2300, or send check or money order to Charles J. Gibbons, P.O. Box 9399, Phoenix, Arizona, 85068. Here's what you get. The dynamic Charles J. Gibbons Home Study course. 8 hours of expert information on 6 cassette tapes. 75 powerful strategies explained in detail. 2 handsomely bound manuals containing 3 separate incredibly valuable sections on taxes, investments, and real estate. Plus, you receive a free 6-month subscription to the Delta Star newsletter, one of the finest publications in America. And as a special bonus, you'll get this free ticket to a full-day applications workshop at a major city of your choice. Charles J. Gibbons shares the techniques he used to build a financial empire. Turn money hassles into financial freedom. Learn how you can work smarter, not harder. This dynamic material is yours for just $295, and it comes complete with a money-back guarantee. Order now. Dial toll-free 1-800-272-2300. That's 1-800-272-2300. Use your MasterCard, Visa, or American Express, or we'll ship COD. Call now toll-free 1-800-272-2300, or send check or money order to Charles J. Gibbons, P.O. Box 9399, Phoenix, Arizona, 85068.